And cross over to Nakuru, where there's a rather serious issue actually. There's an outbreak of anthrax that has killed 14 buffaloes and left health authorities concerned that the disease could even spread to humans.
We're now joined by Miriam Nyambura, who is at the Lake Nakuru National Park with the latest update on that story. Miriam, how bad is the situation?
Good morning, Zinzi and Trevor. And indeed, the situation is not that good, but what we understand is that the Kenya Wildlife Services officials are trying to contain the situation. So far, we understand that the vaccination exercise is going on for the second day. Yesterday, 4 white rhinos were vaccinated, or rather the five of them were vaccinated. And today, 63 black rhinos are expected to be vaccinated. The exercise is expected to begin at around 10 a.m. But what we understand is that the permanent secretary for wildlife, Dr. Susan Koecha, visited that area yesterday as a means, to assess the situation at Lake Nakuru National Park. And this is what she had to say yesterday. Take a listen.
When we look around, and probably one of the causes of this is because of the drought. And what has happened is the animals, they congregate in one place for water. And, if that continues to happen, then the disease can spread. But what we have done is we are now providing water to the animals. What we are doing, we have several ponds within the park. And so through using the water bosses we have, we are now distributing water to several other points within the park to ensure that the animals can catch the waters from where they are. And so it will eliminate the risk of the animals coming together in one specific place.
Well, that is the permanent secretary, Dr. Susan Koecha, shedding more light, or rather assessing the situation at Lake Nakuru National Park yesterday. And joining me here is Dr. Gitu Kaba, who is the Director of Veterinary Services in Nakuru County, just to shed more light about the situation at hand. Now, Dr. Gitu, kindly explain to us, there are those who are saying that the possible causes that has led to the anthrax outbreak, as it now is drought-related. What do you make of this?
Well, it can't be drought-related because normally what happens with the bacteria for anthrax is normally found in the soil. And the moment the pasture goes down, the animal has a tendency of picking the bacteria from the soil. So it's possible to be related to drought, yes.
And we understand that so far 14 buffaloes have died at Lake Nakuru National Park. What sort of exercise is going on to ensure that the situation is contained, that it does not spread to other areas?
Now, what's happening is this. The park is normally fenced, and there's very little contact between the livestock and the wild animals. But what is happening is that since January, we have been doing vaccination of livestock in Nakuru County against foot and mouth and also anthrax. And the last 2 weeks, even before the outbreak, we have vaccination taking place in Nakuru East, Nakuru West. So far, we have covered the areas around the lake, all the way from Mzewanyama, Mwareki, Section 58, sewage, and all the way around the lake. Now, currently from tomorrow, we are doing vaccination around Jolo, in areas around the lake, that is in Lale, Naishi, and Gemu.
Are there any chances that the outbreak of anthrax can spread to other areas? Kindly take us through that.
Yes, there's a possibility of it spreading, depending on how the situation is handled. But as I was telling you, is that the lake is normally closed, and there's very little contact between the livestock and the wild animals. But you never know what may happen, because even the dead animals, there are some animals which plays on the dead animals, and there's a possibility of it spilling over to the livestock. But because of the vaccination we are doing, at least our livestock are safe as of today. Yes.
And speaking of humans, we understand that some 2 days ago is that there was an incident that sparked a lot of, sparked a lot of fear in an area known as Tegat village in Elbagon, whereby 22 people were suspected to have been in contact with exposed meat. What are the chances of humans being affected?
Yeah,
and how does, and also, sorry for that, and how does, or rather, how do humans make sure that they are not, they don't get the anthrax?
Yes, that case of Tegat in Elbagon, an animal died, and then it was slaughtered by the people. for disposal, and the people who were in contact with that animals were advised to go and seek medical advice about the total, maybe you're not sure, I mean, they were admitted to hospital for medical checkup and blood analysis. It was found to be negative and they were all released. Now, anthrax is normally contaminated by consumption of infected meat and meat product, and it's a high possibility of that if humans eat contaminated meat, they can get anthrax. But what normally happens and what we are appealing to our farmer is this: eat inspected meat by our veterinary professionals who normally do the meat inspection, and avoid eating uninspected meat and also the dead animals.
So does that mean that residents of Nakuru should now be on high alert to ensure that, as you mentioned, that they do not take the exposed meat?
Yes, in fact, we are appealing to farmers to be on high alert, and especially on the butchers and people who normally deal with meat, to be aware of what is happening and avoid consumption of uninspected meat. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Trevor and Zinzi, that is the situation. And of course, the director, Dr. Githu Kaba, shedding more light, or rather saying that residents of Nakuru should stay on high alert and ensure that the meat that they consume should be inspected by the relevant authorities. Now, as I mentioned earlier, is that earlier on, 22 people were admitted at a hospital in Elbagon, they were admitted on grounds that they were suspected to have been in contact with exposed meat of a cow. So that is the situation here, and of course Zinzi and Trevor will continue to keep an eye on what transpires. As Dr. Githu mentioned, is that residents need to stay on high alert because there are chances of the disease spreading, or rather the contamination of the anthrax spreading to other areas. Back to you in studio.